Hello everyone, big episode of In the Box Seat coming up. We're joined by Racing Queensland Senior Track Development Manager in Marty, Synan.
Also, as you'll see in front of us, the Diggers Cup, obviously this weekend, Beaudesert's Anzac Day race day. It's a huge day out there, so we'll talk about it all on the show.
Marty, thanks for joining us on In the Box Seat. Just tell us a bit about the role here at Racing Queensland and your background story. Was it 41 years in the trade?
Yeah, 41 years at Moonee Valley.
Yep.
Started there in '84 as an apprentice gardener and just worked my way through
Yep.
it. Yeah, loved every minute of it, and it was a sad day to leave, but with the opportunity to come up here and help Racing Queensland probably gave me that opportunity to use all my experience and skills to help
Yep.
another state out. Like, I'd probably done my time at Moonee Valley, and with the redevelopment, as much as I understand Moonee Valley need to do that,
Yep.
it's probably sad for me to see the old Moonee Valley go and the
Yep.
new one come, but
Yep.
I've been keeping a good eye on it, and work's progressing well, and the boys keep me updated with plenty of photos, and I'm actually heading down there today, so I'll probably call in tomorrow and say good day to the boys while I'm down there.
It's going to be a different looking valley in 12 months' time when they're back racing again. The dynamics of the track is completely different to how we know it.
Yeah, without a doubt, Moonee Valley has 100 years or more of history, and it'll just create its own history. So as much as all that history's probably gone, it'll never be forgotten.
Yeah.
Some of the great Cox plates and that, but in saying that, the new Moonee Valley will create its own history over time, and we'll have new track records, all that sort of stuff, new shaped track. But it's going to be an amazing venue when it's completely finished, and it'll keep it racing at Moonee Valley for another 100 years.
Yep.
For those who don't know, there's obviously a lot that goes into preparing and maintaining a track at Moonee Valley's level and also at this level as well. What goes into that? What's a week in your job, in your role now look like, and where does that take you?
Yeah, so with my role of Racing Queensland, my team oversee every track in Queensland. We also do harness and dogs. So there's 119 tracks in total across Queensland. And I have Luke Spice, who does all the regional tracks like Mount Isaac, Long Reaches, all that. And then Dave Morrison does all the TABs, mainly Ipswich, Toowoomba's, Eagle Farm, Brisbane, Gold Coast and that. And then I have a guy, David Moy, who looks after the harness and dogs. So we have a great team. And then we have Tamika there, who does all our administration and keeps us boys all in line. So if we didn't have her, I don't think we'd exist. But
every team needs one.
Yeah, exactly right. And she does a really good job. So with that, our main object is to assist tracks and help tracks out. You've got to understand that 70 of those tracks in Queensland are once-a-year tracks. They're run by volunteers. And as an industry, we probably expect volunteers to do the same stuff as what a guy like Jody does here, where he's paid to do his job.
Yeah.
So it's very challenging. The resources probably aren't there. The infrastructure's not there. But we just want to make sure that every track is presented ready to race. Naturally, it doesn't happen all the time. We do get abandonments. But to be safe, every jockey and every horse goes home. So that's the main goal of a track manager, is to make sure there's nothing worse than a jockey getting injured or a horse breaking down. Track managers probably take that personally, and they probably shouldn't, because the data out there shows that a horse isn't injured on a race day. It's the lead up and the training and all that stuff. And the same for jockey. You want every jockey to go home to their family.
Absolutely.
It's probably a really tough question to narrow down, but in the 40 odd years, whether it be in charge of Moonee Valley or your role today, how much is the change of preparing a race course for the races?
Well, technology's improved and fertilisers have improved and equipment's improved. So I kind of judge it a bit like the AFL or even the rugby in the footy fields. The grounds that those guys play on now are pristine. Back in the days, they used to be full of mud. You couldn't see the centre. You remember the old Moorabbin days, and probably even the old, those regional or suburb track.
There was nothing better than playing footy in the mud.
But Windy Hill was a ground, North Melbourne was a ground. Talking about AFL because that's where I'm from. But then now they've got the MCG, they've got Marvel, they've got these stadiums that are elite. And I think racetracks are very similar.
Yep.
I think you look at videos back in the 70s and 80s, and they're whipping horses 100 times down the straight. And the dust is flying up. They're like roads. Whereas today, with the fertilisers and the things that we have and the scientific data that we have now to prepare tracks, they have improved.
Yep.
Even though you're always going to get people complaining about too firm, too soft, too wet, too dry. That's just nature. But the actual tracks, I think, are improving across Australia.
Yeah.
We here at the Gold Coast Club have had some big meetings in recent months. Obviously, the Magic Millions, the Jewel Day. Have you been impressed by the way the track is played? How have you seen it in those recent kind of feature meetings?
Without a doubt, probably before I started racing Queensland, I could see from afar the issues that they were having here, and it was disappointing for Navesh and even Jody when he first started, and the pressure they're under to get it right. And I saw those meetings get lost, through the poisoning, and I think there was a barrier incident, we had a weather incident, and for the club to then get through last year's this year's Magic Millions, I think was a great achievement. In saying that, I always said to Jody, if you hear nothing about the track, you've done your job. You don't always need a pat on the back, and he's a guy that doesn't want a pat on the back. He doesn't like the social media, but I told him personally that he'd done a great job, and that was through a lot of work. I mean, back mid last year, the club called me in and Evergreen and we came up with a plan to try and fix this track, and it wasn't going to be a plan to fix this track straight away. It was going to be a 12 to 18 month process, and I spoke to you about that a couple of months ago, and we did that renovation back in August, and you could see slow improvement, and then we got through Magic Millions, and then we've done another renovation since, and then there'll be another one this August. So I think this track's been racing amazing. And like I said, I'm not going to sit there and blame anyone for why it was like it was, but I think it might have been, when you do a renovation on a track, you always top dress, and they top dress with the sand, they put the drainage in, it created this layer, and it was just shearing off, so the roots weren't working into the profile. So what Evergreen and the club came up with was to bring the soil from the bottom to the top, blend that in with that sand, and it's slowly breaking it down, and you just see gradual improvement. We've had probably maybe 1 or 2 meetings where it's dropped out a little bit, maybe after rain, but overall, with the work Jody's doing with the verti drain and the renovations, this track will it continues to improve, and it'll be a great track again this year.
And the novice would also say too, Marty, and you might be able to explain further on this, how come a track can have 100 mil on a Monday or a Tuesday and then be back to a soft 5 or a good 4 come Saturday, 5 to 10 mil on the day, and it sits on that top layer and it ends up being a heavy track, which seems to be, Flemington, Randwick, all the newer model drainage tracks.
The tracks that are renovated, like Flemington, for example, Liam there, he renovates 4 times a year, right? And he only has 25, 26 meetings a year, whereas some of those tracks up here have up to 50. But he plans it out where it's continually getting renovated. So when you do get these weather events, it can cope with it. Whereas the older track, like Moonee Valley, at the end of it's 30-year-old track. The last, say, 5 or 6 years has been a bit difficult to manage, because when we rain, the drainage rate or the infiltration rate reduced from like 300 mil down to 70 after 30 years. So when we got that heavy rain, it would still drain, but it would just take longer. So I had a Cox plate, I think we had 18 mil overnight. I rated a soft 5 in the morning. Then we had another 18 mil between then and 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, it was Cox plate day, and I said to the boss, I said, I don't think we're going to get through. An hour later, we were right. I think that was Winter's 4th. And you're just nervous about it, but you know that if you just give it time, and people will walk out there and see the water on the track and go, oh, this should be called off. But it just needs that time, and if the weather stopped, and it did. So they're the little things that track managers know about their own tracks, and not every track will be perfect. So it's about managing them, and if you've got a spot that's not the same as the rest of the track, you just treat that a little bit differently. And it's just those things about learning about your track. So, like I said, no track's ever going to be perfect.
Clearly, you've got into the Queensland weather.
Yes, I'm living the dream up here. I live down at Gold Coast here at Coolangatta, and beautiful part of the world, and I enjoy it, except for the driving.
Have you committed to the Titans and the Suns yet, or are you still in Melbourne?
Well, I'm a Bombers by
tough year.
No, but I've jumped on the Suns. So last week I couldn't lose it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I'll always be a Storm man, so because I'm trying to win the footy tipping at Q. So if I'm going along, I think I'm sitting second at the moment, but the Storms actually let me down the last 3 or 4 weeks. I picked them and I'm 5 down, so that doesn't help.
For a few moments in that game last week, you would have put the black and red Guernsey back on.
Well, I didn't matter either way. I picked the Suns, but I wanted the Bombers to win, if you know what I mean.
They did play a much better game last week.
They'll win this week, though. We'll beat the Pies this week.
There you go. There's a tip for Marty. Get on the Bombers this week. Actually, I was in Melbourne the week that they finally won a game, and they were starting to talk about flags and premierships.
I've already queued up for the premiership tickets.
Marty, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. I think, speaking from everyone in racing here in Queensland, it's a treat. It's a treat to have you here, and a really great insight. Obviously, everything we've been through the last 18 months. So thank you for coming on and kind of explaining it and giving a bit more behind the scenes that we don't normally see.
Anytime, and like I said, I'm enjoying every minute of it. I think I've ticked off 59 of the 119 tracks in 12 months. So that's not a bad effort, and I hope to get to every track. And I just enjoy meeting people. I love country racing. And I just want to do things properly. I just don't want to take shortcuts and make sure everything gets done properly so Queensland racing improves. So
excellent.
That's my goal.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
Marty Synan, join us on In the Box Seat. All right, let's get on with the rest of the show now. Hollindale news. The markets were released last week through tab.com.au on the back of a slashing run in the all-age stakes. Half Yours has been very well backed. He's now $2.80, a clear favourite from the Queen of the Turf winner, Idle Flyer, at $4.50. She's a Hustler at $5 and Bourbon's at $8. Brisbane Handicap on Saturday will feature three big runners. Entino, he's back on Saturday. Hopefully he can bounce back to his best form and head towards the Gold Coast to make it back-to-back Hollindales. He's got 61 kilos, but Ben Thompson booked to ride, so his trial was encouraging last week at Deegan. Knight's Choice, we see him back. He's only had one run since his Melbourne Cup success from 2 years ago, so he's back. And Miss Jolene was terrific winning first up. Of course, we know her from her Wave success. She's back in good form off that first up win, where she probably wasn't entitled to win, but was still able to do so. So she's going to be a live chance. All three of them expected to be here on May 9 in the Hollindale. So looking forward to seeing the race evolve a little bit further after the weekend, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And obviously, if you haven't got your tickets yet, come along on track. General admission, $15 per person is obviously on sale. There are a few tickets left here in the Glass House, our Shandon experience down here. So if you want to get some hospitality, restaurants are now sold out. So you'll have to come into here in the Glass House. Obviously, prime viewing behind us in the Mountain Yard. So Hollindale Day, tickets are still on sale. Head to gctc.com.au, pick them up and get on track. It'll be an incredible weekend of racing.
Huge day Saturday, as we said at the start of the show. Anzac Day at Beaudesert. It's the big day for Bowie. Looking forward to getting out there. The club does it really well, and expecting a big crowd.
Absolutely. Obviously, it's a massive one on Bowie's calendar. Everyone loves it. And I mean, it's on a Saturday this year, so it couldn't really get much better. We have the light horse will be out there. We'll do the last post. We'll have the bugler there, and obviously entertainment. We'll have a musician and the bars and everything, food trucks, everything's going to be open. So it'll be an incredible day out at Beaudesert. Tickets, you can buy tickets online if you want to head to beaudesertraceclub.com. You can buy your tickets online. Otherwise, we will be selling them at the gate as well. So come on down. It'll be an incredible day out at Bowie.
8 races, 12:30 start. So go and to all the dawn services around the place, and then get out to Bowie for Saturday. Let's find a winner.
Yes.
Esprit de Jeu for me in the Fillies and Mares benchmark 60. Just been knocking on the door of late. Placings, it's past 4. Hopefully gets a win for Connections and Tony Gollan on Saturday. That's a wrap. That's in the box seat this week. We'll have a big show next week, of course. And we're not that far away from the Hollindale, so this big meeting at Beaudesert on Saturday for Anzac Day, and then we can start counting down the sleeps, ticking them off the calendar
We definitely
to the
can.
AD Hollindale Stakes. Catch you then next week.